Welcome to the springtime edition of the Museum Roadshow. I'm Roger Engstrom, and we're down here at Washington Ballpark doing some filming of a ballpark that's 100 years old. We have a picture here of the grandstand that was built in 1908. You can see here with the main door entrance to the park. And the deal was you could get into the ball game for free, but if you wanted to sit in the bleachers, then you had to pay a dime. Well, by 1938, the grandstand was getting in sort of disrepair. There was a headline in the Detroit Lakes newspaper, #1 eyesore in Detroit Lakes. People wanted it tore down, refurbished, or whatever. And a common complaint was it was a place that was visited by the undesirable drifters during the summer. That's where they slept. But the war was coming up, World War II, and the Depression was on. There wasn't time or money to really talk about a ballpark. But in 1946, the DL Angels was reorganized through the American Legion, and that team formed the nucleus of a team that was going to go on in 1948 to win a berth in the state tournament. And this got the excitement going in ball playing again. And Winston Larson was the city engineer at the time. He drew up a plan for redoing the ball field, and they floated a bond issue. It was a two-part issue, $20,000 to do the lighting and $25,000 for a new grandstand. And this was approved by the voters in early January 1948. And by that summer, they had the lights up, dedication for the lights in July. They turned the lights on for a game at 8 o'clock. They got to remember now, that's on the old standard time, not this daylight saving time. And then in August, they dedicated the grandstand, and that held 1,200 people. And with the bleachers they had on the sideline, they had a capacity here of 2,500 people to watch a ball game. And over the years, then the ballpark was kept up. The big deal was in 1948, they had this set up so they could play football games here too. The high school football games were played here through 1967. In 1968, then the high school football games were moved over to Mulberg Field, where they're played today under the lights. And in 1989, this grandstand needed some more work on it, and that's when the Lake Area Home Builders Association stepped up to the plate, and they said we were going to refurbish that place. So they went in and cleaned out the junk, got the restrooms working, got the locker rooms fixed up so they could be used again, and it was made into another nice ballpark. And in 1948, when this thing was refurbished, it was called one of the nicest ballparks in the state of Minnesota. And looking around here today in May of 2008, it's still one of the nicest ballparks in the state of Minnesota. We're about to hear from some of the former ball players and their stories about playing ball games in Washington Park.
I can remember the people in the city when they had in the spring of the year would have to go out and change some of the light bulbs up in the stands, and they would take a light bulb, and Bob did that. They'd take a light bulb and they'd tie a string around at the end of the bulb hanging over their back, and then climb up there and put those bulbs in.
Yeah, and then they used to have a canvas they put around all around the field, you know. They had a couple that did it, you know.
So people couldn't stand on the outside and watch the game from outside. They had to come inside and buy tickets
they
watch
covered
the game.
it over. And you know, Russell was his name, or Elmer Russell, yeah, and his wife. And boy, I'm telling you, they worked.
Well, canvas was heavy.
Yeah, and then when they got toward the end of the game, before the game ended, why they were starting to take it down because that was a long ways around that ballpark.
All that canvas.
The field is pretty much the same as it is now. Dugouts are newer. Our dugouts were actually dug in the ground about 2 feet down, made out of concrete.
Even the roof was concrete. And sometimes when you went down the dugout, you watch out so you didn't hit your head on the concrete. Of course, and the problem with that was when it rained, the dugouts would flood, so we'd have to sit outside on chairs because we couldn't get rid of the water. So the dugouts now are bigger and a lot drier.
The bullpen was along the fence, and it was right on the open end of the dugout, so you had to watch not only the hitter, but the guy warming up, because if the catcher missed the ball, or the bullpen catcher missed the ball come in the dugout.
Well, years ago we didn't have this scoreboard. We got that, I think, in the last 10 years. In fact, the company I was working for, Daggett Truck Line, was contracted to haul it up here from South Dakota. So I got one of our drivers to go down, pick it up, bring it up here, and we were the ones that actually brought it up here. The scoreboard we used to be out here on left field, behind the fence over there. It was a scoreboard that was basically all wood, and we had kids that would be out there and hang up zeros for the number of runs in an inning, or 1 or 2 or whatever each team got after an inning. They'd hang that up. And also on the scoreboard there was lights for balls, strikes, and outs, which was run from the scoreboard box up there. Somebody would have the controls where he could light the lights up for balls and strikes out there. And of course sometimes you'd get a little bit confused because the umpire didn't call the balls or strikes real emphatic, so you'd get the balls and strikes mixed up occasionally. So you had to ask the umpire once in a while what the balls and strikes were, because the scoreboard wasn't quite that accurate. But that scoreboard was there for many, many, many years.
I know we used to fill the stands up, you know, and the grandstand was full, and then we had bleachers on both sides, and they were full too, you know. And then up there by that stone house, we had a lot of visitors there, you know. They didn't stand there and watch.
Well, thank you for watching this edition of the Museum Roadshow on TV3. It's one place where history repeats itself every 4 hours. Thanks for watching.